Hello, Joe from Joe K Models here. So, since I'm still waiting for my room to get set up to where I can start working on my models again, I thought I would at least try to bring something to the table. And so, as you can see, I'm in my bedroom right now, and behind me are some of my different models that I've built. And I was storing these in some cases from Hobby Lobby, and these cases would run about, I don't know, I'd say on average about $20 a piece. And I went ahead and got some shelves, so you can see that they're back there right now, but I kind of wanted a different solution. I don't like them just sitting out in the open like they are. Some of the concerns that I have is just dust starting to accumulate over time, plus trying to dust them or clean them off. I'm concerned about the rigging and the antenna wire on the top. I just kind of want to do something a little bit different than this. And another thing is it's kind of awkward to sort them on the shelves. You can see I got my Hornet down here that's actually still in the case. And you know, I haven't even been able to put all of my models here. I have a submarine, for example, that is longer than these shelves are wide, so I still have that one in storage. So I'm just really looking for a good solution to do something with these different models at my new location. So let me show you what I'm thinking about. So I ended up buying this Curio cabinet from Coaster Fine Furniture off of Wayfair. And here are the instructions to this. I spent about $320, let's say, after shipping for it to be shipped over here disassembled. The box was very heavy, but I took all the pieces out and just wanted to take a look at this. Here are the directions, and first part is just all of the different pieces that it comes with. And here we have step one. Looks like the base and the rods, some different parts right there. And then just standing it up like this on step two. Looks like some pretty clear directions. And we have step three. Looks like putting this piece on top. There's different things with the screws here on step four. Step five, shelving units. Step six looks like getting ready to put the swinging doors into place with these different parts. And then step 7 looks like it's mostly just putting the door and finishing that up. And then step 8, this should be what it looks like once it is complete. And I looked at the measurements, and my longest model is a submarine, and the submarine should fit onto this as long as I measured everything correctly, so we'll see about that. And here's just some different dimensions there. And there's also an option to do the safety wall latch hook, whatever that's called, so that it doesn't tip over. So let's take a look at these parts. Okay, and here's all the parts taken out of the box. Here are the two different shelf, top and bottom pieces. This is for that wall so that it doesn't tip over. Here are the different parts all in here. Inside of this box are some different glass pieces. This should be for the glass shelves. Over here we have these different, I guess you'd call them liners. So when you stand it up tall, you're going to be connecting everything to that. And then we have some very long glass pieces down there. There's one really long glass piece, and then there's some smaller rectangles. So let me go ahead and get started on this, and I'll kind of go somewhat step by step and just explain what I'm doing, and let's see how this turns out. So one thing that I decided to do here is, as you can see, there is an inventory on the different pieces here, and I just went through and figured out which pieces were what based on how many there were. So I counted out the screws and everything, and a lot of the pieces they just kind of put loosely in this bag here. So some of the obvious pieces like the handles and the those round pieces in there that won't be hard to identify. I took those out of the bags and put them in there, and then I used those bags to just label some of the other pieces that might be a little bit harder to figure out, like the different types of screws and everything. So just wanted to point that out, that might make things a little bit easier because these are not labeled, they were just sitting loose in the bag. So okay, and here is step one, and as you can see, there's a spot for the feet there to screw in, and then also for this screw in the washer. Now the top and the bottom look pretty much exactly the same, and the only way that I'm able to identify which one is the bottom is this one has that little part right there for the feet. So looking back at the directions, that would match up with this. So makes it hard since these aren't labeled, but you know, after studying it, I know that this one is the bottom. So let's get going on it. Okay, so you can't put these in yet because you have to put the long piece in here first, screw it in, and then put on the feet. So I'm going to flip this on the side and do that. You have to also make sure that these are pointing inwards to the inside so that you can assemble the shelves later on. All right, and now that I have these rods screwed in, I'm going to go ahead and put in the feet. So this would be screw 12, and this is part 1. Alright, so this next part here, it says step 2, and there's a step 3 after this, which I almost consider step 2 and step 3 to be the same step, because I feel like you have to be prepared for both before you start doing it. So basically what's happening here is we're taking the biggest piece of glass, and we're going to be putting it in the back here into this slot, and then along with that, also grabbing these 2 plastic pieces and putting it on the back, and you have to follow these directions pretty closely. As you can see it, the smaller bit right here, according to the directions here, go into the back glass piece, and the longer part, the longer groove goes in to the side pieces. So I'm going to also get these side parts be ready to go so that I can get them on there. And I think if I have the back piece and the side pieces in there and I have this metal strip, it shouldn't be a problem for it to stand on its own, but I'm getting everything ready. I'm doing this by myself, so this is how I'm approaching it. So Alright, so I'm going to be honest with you, that was a little awkward to do by myself. I definitely recommend that you get somebody to help you put this in place. Yeah. Also want to point out that this liner here needs to be below this so that the top piece for the next step is going to fit correctly, because if you have this too high up, it's not going to fit into on top of this. So wanted to point that out as well. So let's move on to the next step. All right, and now I just have to put this top piece on the top. I already dry fitted on top and it fits in there snug like a glove. So I already know that fits fine. And I'm just taking these screws, number 2, and these washers, number 3, and I'm just gonna put it right in there, put the screw in there. I'm gonna dry fit it on top, then I'm gonna put these in there, and I'm going to just screw them into the top of this here. All right, next up I'm taking parts 14 and 15 here. So screws and these suction thingamajigs, and I'm going to be screwing them into these, remember those little side parts that have those screw-ins? So that's why you want them facing to the inside. So I'm gonna do that, and I'll show you what that looks like when I'm finished. Just a quick little tip with this part, it is easier if you just put all the screws in first, go in, get it started with your fingers, and then take it home with this. So, all right, so I got all these in. Like I said, I was pretty much able to get these in with my fingers, and then I'm just gonna take the screwdriver and just finish it off. And just make sure these little suction cups are facing the top. All right, so now here's the next steps, and it's just basically sliding the shelves in. And then after that, we're gonna get the door hinges set up. And at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and move it to the area that I'm gonna actually have it be permanent, because once I put all this glass in the doors, it's gonna become much heavier. And now that all of the major assembly is done, I don't really need all the space anymore, so I'm gonna move it to the appropriate place, and then I'm just gonna slide these shelves in and start working on this, the door grooves here. So, all right. All right, and now I'm to the part where I'm getting ready to put the door in, but first I have to get these pieces in. So I'm gonna start off with the 8/8 right here. So bottom, middle, top, middle, got them. Just put them right in, it looks like. Okay, and now I'm at the 4s and 5s. So these just go into the corners, bottom corners, top corners. These pieces here, and just take it like that. Put it right in. There you go. All right, now this piece here that is on the top will not stay there because of gravity. So what I'm gonna do is I got the door right here. I'm gonna slide it into place, and I'm gonna put this in first and then just slide it in so that way that piece stays at the top. Okay, now that I have the door in place, I'm gonna take these screws here and I'm just gonna screw into the bottom so that way the door stabilizes into that groove. All right, so I put one screw in down here and another one right here. And just some things of note is that when you close this, you want it to be above this piece here. And at first it was bumping up against this, so you want to make sure that with this glass you like pull it up here before you tighten the screws, so that way when you close it, it's a little bit above that part. So I didn't put both screws in yet because I kind of want to put in the other door and put the magnets in. Make sure that this door shuts correctly before I do all that. But yeah, so far so good. So let me put in the other door, and here's some of these other parts that I'm going to be putting on, 9 and 10. I'm assuming those are probably some type of magnets that are going to attach right here. So I'm going to put those on here and then also work on the other door, and we'll see how it comes out. All right, so for 9 and 11 here, so this is piece 11, this is 9. Basically, this is an adhesive. You peel this off and then you put it to the door. And here, let me show you without putting the actual adhesive on there. So just put that up there like this. Boom. And that's going to hold the door shut nicely for me to do that other side and just make sure everything shuts correctly. So that's how that works. Alright, and here it is. It's all finished. I just wiped it down with some glass cleaner. As you can see, I couldn't resist seeing if the submarine would fit in here, and it certainly does. So very important that if you buy one of these, you make sure that the models are actually going to fit on them. I guess same thing for anything, shelves or whatever. But happy the way this turned out. I put the magnets on here so that it clicks and it pulls pretty good right on there. And overall, I really like the way that it looks in the room. And I'm going to put my models in there and see what they look like. Okay, and here it is in all of its glory. The finished Curio. I put all the models in there. I'm not sure if this is going to be the final way that I have them, but I got them all in there and I think it looks really good. I think it looks better than just having them on the shelf there. So, pretty happy with this for sure. So all in all, I didn't have too much of a problem putting it together. I am happy that I labeled the parts in the beginning. That made it a lot easier because I don't feel like it's labeled super clear in the directions. So that was a big help. Also, I put it together myself, and a couple of the bigger pieces like the glass panes and getting some of the sliders into place, I would have definitely benefited from having another person there to help me with those. So I also recommend, you know, if you're doing a project like this, have a helping hand for sure. But, you know, definitely like it. Definitely think it's a step up from what I had before. I'm excited to have it. It looks great down here in the basement, and I'm looking forward to building some more models soon and continuing on my videos. Should hopefully have a room set up for myself at my new home pretty soon. Still kind of waiting to iron out the details on that, but appreciate you checking it out and hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed making this video, and I'll talk to you on the next one. This is Joe from Joe K Models.